Welcome back to Ooh, That's a Word podcast. I'm your host, Camellia Goodlow. And you guys, this is the podcast where when I say everything is curated from him to me to you. It's EP2. I'm hype. Super hype. I don't know about y'all, but I'm hype. I'm real hype. Because this word, again, every word that he gives me, he applies it to my personal life. That's just his way of how he just teaches me. He uses my life to show me, this is where you go wrong, this is that third, and this is one of those words. And I'll give you guys a little background on what I mean by using my personal life or personal experiences to speak to me and give me these particular words, but I just want to go ahead and get right into it. But first, I want to say that I pray that this is a blessing to someone just as it was to me in my life. I pray that it resonates with someone's spirit, that it pricks someone's heart, that it opens up someone's eyes to just a bigger picture, a better aspect of who God is and just a new realm of their relationship. So I'm excited. I'm very, 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 very excited. And today, the topic of discussion will be, and here's the word, stay in a child's place. Stay in a child's place. Now, I know we have all heard this saying before. We've probably been told it by our parents growing up as kids. And the Lord decided to use that to speak to me and, relay it to the spiritual realm when it comes to me and him and just my life in general when it comes to living for him. Mia, stay in a child's place. Now, I know y'all thinking like, Mia, what in the world did you do? I didn't do. It's not what I did, it's what I didn't do, which is why he gave me this, Mia, stay in a child's place. But I want to give you guys context biblically where this coincides with this particular subject and topic, and then give you guys a little background on how we got here. So today we'll be coming from Matthew 18 verses 1 through 5. Everybody have your Bibles, open up your Bible, scroll to it, click to it, whatever your form of Bible is. Pick it up. Because I really do believe it's important to have the word right in front of you. It's just, you tend to comprehend better. At least I do tend to comprehend better when I have it physically in front of me. So, Matthew 18 verses 1 through 5. It states, about that time the disciples came to Jesus and asked, who is greatest in the kingdom of heaven? Jesus called a little child to him and put the child among them. Then he said, I tell you the truth, unless you turn from your sins and become like little children, you will never get into the kingdom of heaven. So anyone who becomes as humble as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And anyone who welcomes a child like this on my behalf is welcoming me. So to give you guys a little background on how we got here, as a graduate student in college, and I'm sure as many of you guys, if you're watching, if you're a college student, we all just finished our, the last couple of days of our first semester, however far along you are in college. I know it's my first semester in graduate school, so I finished it off a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago. But within that time frame of finishing those classes, I found myself not acting as a child, not being in a child's place. Not acting as a child of God. And I say that because I had a paper that was due that Monday. And to make a long story short, we had a presentation that was due to. Wasn't aware of the complexity of the presentation until like the day before. So I began to panic because, mind you, I've been working on this paper for a month and I did not have an idea of where I wanted to go with this paper. So on top of me trying to figure out where I wanted to go with this paper, I also had to figure out where I was going to go with this presentation. Mind you, the presentation is based off the paper that I'm having to turn in and present in class. So everything was just clashing together. And instead of me acting as a child and sitting with the Lord and asking him, what is there I need to do? Or, Lord, I need you to give me a solution and give me, answers to the questions that I'm having. Or just looking to him to be my safe haven. I immediately went here. I began to panic and overthink, and like we all do, and any slight inconvenience, I began to try to put it all on me and figure it out. And that resulted in me not getting anywhere. Like within that month time frame of me trying to figure out this paper, I didn't get anywhere with the presentation either until that Monday going back to school. I sat with him at my desk 5 hours before I was supposed to present my presentation of my paper, and told him, Lord, if you don't do it, it won't get done. If you don't give me the understanding, I won't be able to present anything to the class. If you don't give me the words, I won't be able to speak in the way that I need to, where it can reflect in my grades. Like if you don't do, nothing will get done. And in that moment, that's when my childlike faith began to set in. But it took a month and a day and a couple hours to figure that out. Like, Mia, you need to go to the source. And so with that, he reminded me of, with the same way you were when you were a kid, I need you to be like this now in adult form. Which brings me to the definition of childlike. And I know some people are like, okay, you saying we need to be childlike. But in that childish, no, there's a difference. The motives behind those two words are totally different. Childish and childlike, totally two different things. And I'm about to give you guys a definition because I was like, Lord, you know, some people may take it the incorrect way or may take it the wrong way. So give me some context. So he told me to go look up both the definitions. And that's what I did. Childish means silly and immature. And to help anyone else, synonyms that coincide with childish, the word child is baby, babyish, foolish, silly, and irresponsible. Childlike, the definition of it is of an adult, having good qualities associated with the child. Synonyms of the word childlike are unworldly, that stuck out to me, unworldly, trusting, easily taken in. And the Lord's like, that's what I need you to be with me. And I just hit myself in the mouth. That's okay. He's like, that's what I need you to be with me. I need you to be unworldly. I need you to be trusting. I need you to be easily taken in to whatever that is that I present to you. Because when you find yourself in that space of trusting, easily taken in, easily to guide, easily be directed, easily to be judged, you find yourself open to the solutions of God. You literally lessen yourself in a way and allow more of him in the situation. And within that, you're then given everything that you need. But you cannot get everything that you need within that particular situation or particular problem if you are trying to figure it out on your own, like an adult. The Lord does not want us to come to him as adults. He wants us to come to him as his children. No matter the age, we're going to always be his children. And we have to act like it. We call ourselves children of God, or we say that I'm a child of God, or he's my father. But when do we find ourselves acting like it? In that moment, the Lord checked me on it. He was like, you say you're my child. You say you operate as a child of God. You say that I'm your father and that I'm your provider. But in the moments to where, like I said, a slight inconvenience comes up, you don't allow me to be that. But these are the words coming out of your mouth. You were so caught up in how you were going to get this paper done, on top of getting a presentation done within 5 hours, with the lack of understanding that you had in that moment. You were so focused on that, you forgot to come to me, your father, the provider, the one that wants to give you everything that you need. But he's not going to do that if his child, the one that really needs him, is showing that in that moment, I don't need you. I got it on my own. The Lord going to sit back and be like, okay, do you? Go ahead. I'll be here when you finally realize that you need me more than I need you. Okay? And so in that moment, he told me, you stay at a child's place, be more childlike, practice childlike faith. And and I learned when I practiced childlike faith, I got more than what I needed. And I began to see the benefits of practicing childlike faith. When you practice childlike faith, you allow yourself to be exposed to God more. You give him more room to operate. In that moment, when I let go of I listened myself and allowed more of him, I was able to receive the understanding that I needed. I was able to, within 5 hours, receive more understanding than what I was trying to grasp within a month span. Within 5 hours, y'all. And then on top of that, I was able to go into the classroom, present it with confidence in a way to where it was understandable not only to me, but to my peers and the ones that I was presented to. And on top of that, I got an A on my presentation. But that was only because I decided to practice childlike faith. I decided to be childlike. And I'm not childish and childlike are totally different. The motives behind being childlike and being childish are totally different. And the Lord had to show me that. Being childish, your motives are not good. They're very ill-willed. It has ill intent behind it and petty. But when you're childlike, you're lessening your own ideology that you have developed over time to grasp something more powerful. You're allowing yourself to sit and be as a child, trusting, less stressed out, less worried, so you can receive the solutions and things that you need for whatever the circumstance may be. And so when the Lord sat me down and was like, Mia, this is another key to just living for him, especially in areas I know for me to where I'm learning to incorporate him within that particular aspect of my life. For me, is school. I learned that in order for me to get through school, in order for me to perform the way that I need to, in order for me to walk in the way that he's called me to within my department, I have to be childlike. I cannot walk in with this adult ideology because I'm going to always find myself lacking something. And I'm not saying be dumb, be stupid, or just be lost. I'm not saying that. But be childlike, meaning lessen the adult version of you before your father, so your father can be your father to you, to his child. Put it like this. When here on earth, we all have parents. When you're with your father, and I can attest to this, when I'm with my father, I'm a 23-year-old now, but when I'm with my dad, when I'm with my father, my earthly father, I don't think. I don't worry. I don't stress. I'm not trying to figure out numbers. I'm not trying to figure out how things are being paid for. I literally depend on him. And the Lord is like, that's what I want for you to do with me. I need you to depend on me. In the same way you depend on your earthly father. I tell Mia, I have this joke around mom all the time, and I tell her, I was like, Mom, when I'm with daddy, I literally can be a kid. I literally don't have to think. And she's like, what? I said, just think about it. When we're with him, we don't have to worry about anything because everything is taken care of. Everything is taken care of. We don't have to worry about anything. And the Lord is like, it's the same thing with me. But when are you going to open up your eyes and realize that I'm the one that created your earthly father, that has given you that has given him those type of demeanor to portray that type of security to you. But I'm the blueprint of that. He's just a product of my blueprint. But when are you going to look to me in situations to where your earthly father or your earthly mother or your earthly parents cannot be that to you? He also was like, Mia, your earthly parents are never your last resort. They're always your first resort. Why can't your heavenly parent be that for you? He was like, you went to everything else before you came to me. That's not childlike. Because we all know every child, even I'm a child. I'm still 23 years old, but the first people I go to when I'm in a bind or I'm in a tight, I go to my parents. I go to my father. I go to my mother. And the Lord was like, they are never your last resort. So why are you making me your last resort? That's why you suffered. And the understanding you didn't have, you weren't able to grasp. So just think, if you were practicing that childlike faith early on, the amount of stress and amount of overwhelmingness and that you could have prevented. You could have prevented that. All by what being childlike. So reading this, it also pointed out to me too, the question was asked to Jesus, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? The Lord said, and if you read from 3 to 5, and the rest of the chapter is red, but anything that is in red, that is what God, and you, so you know that's a direct answer from him to us. And he said, I tell you the truth, unless you turn from your sins and become like little children, you will never get into the kingdom of heaven. So anyone who becomes as humble as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf is welcoming me. When we, and this is a word, oh Lord, I thank you. When we allow ourselves to be childlike, we're ultimately exemplifying who Christ is. Let me break it down. Anytime you are in communication with anyone and you're allowing your childlike faith to be exemplified, yes, you are, approaching that person in a way to where it's welcoming and pleasing and just soft and pleasant, but you also are allowing the Lord to be exemplified through you, because when we lessen ourselves, which means it allows us to be, allowing ourselves to be childlike and in practicing that childlike faith, we're allowing the Lord to be exemplified more. We're allowing him to be the main attraction within that situation. So ultimately, we're exemplifying to whomever we're coming in contact with who Christ really is. When we lessen ourselves and allow more of him to come about or to be present within that situation or that conversation or that problem, he then has room to be the solution. When you exemplify your childlike faith on a day-to-day basis, you give the Lord room to use you in an adult and mature way. And when I say that, that was a word he gave me in regards to like that whole personal moment me and him had when it came to just with the whole presentation thing. I feel like I'm leaving out a little some details, but to give you a little bit more context, I did my paper on Denzel Washington's speech, Put God First, that he gave at Dillard University in 2015 at their commencement ceremony. And I was like, if I'm going to do a paper, I'm going to do something I'm interested in, something I love, and it's one of my favorite speeches. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out. But through that, again, I was just doing it because I was interested in it. It was one of my favorites, and I just needed a grade. But the Lord allowed me to grasp the understanding of it because he knew that his name would be glorified in the midst of that, in the midst of me presenting my paper. And so through my childlike faith, I was able to, again, understand and grasp the concept of where I wanted to go with that. But in my mind, it was just for a grade. But the Lord saw it as an opportunity to, yes, I'm going to prosper her, allow her to, do well in this presentation. I'm going to give her what she needs. But he also saw it as an opportunity to be a blessing to everyone up under the sound of my voice during that presentation, and which it was. I remember sitting back down after my presentation and getting feedback from my peers saying how, that they love to see someone to exemplify the Lord so boldly within a college classroom. Now, mind you, you're in front of, you in the college classrooms, you're very unaware of what people's beliefs, morals, and values are. So to stand up in front of a class and speak so boldly on Jesus Christ, it opened up so many people's eyes. Again, I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't see it any further than the way that the Lord did. And he began to show me through that word. When after I remember when I got home, he laid that on me. He was like, Mia, when you allow your childlike faith to be exemplified through your everyday life, you give me room and access to use you in an adult and mature way. Going back to the definition of childlike of an adult. You're of an adult, but you have good qualities that are associated with the child. That's what the Lord wants from us. That's what he desires from us. Because then when we exemplify this, when we allow ourselves to show childlike faith, to be childlike through our everyday life as adults, we then are able to be used for the glory of him on a far more greater platform. It blew my mind because growing up, I would hear people say, be childlike, be more childlike, be more child. I'm like, okay, all right, that's easy. That's easy. But I never understood the depthness of it until now, which brings me to something that C.S. Lewis, and I love C.S. Lewis, that he said it best. Christ wants a child's heart, but a grown-up's head. He wants us to be simple, single-minded, affectionate, teachable as good children are. Childlike faith has a humble state. Childlike faith asks questions. Childlike faith is full of wonder and curiosity. Childlike faith is trusting. Childlike faith has hope. When you practice childlike faith, you find yourself embodying all these things. You find yourself humbling yourself before Christ, meaning, like I was saying earlier, lessening yourself so more of God can be present. That way, you're able to receive the solutions and things that you need for whatever situation that you may be in, good or bad. Because we all need guidance, judgment from God every day. But we cannot receive that if we're not humbling ourselves before him. If we think that we have the answers like I did, or we, trying to figure things out for ourselves like I was trying to, I was not humbling myself before Christ because I was looking to self to be the solution, which I later realized that I reaped the consequences of that. Being, under so much pressure with short amount of time to get an assignment done when I could have done, that beforehand, incorporated him beforehand, or practiced my childlike faith beforehand and not having to reap the consequences later. I had to humble myself. Humbling yourself before Christ, that's a result of having childlike faith. Asking questions. We all know children don't ask questions. Off the wall questions that make sense, whatever. When you're practicing that childlike faith, you're then again, like I said, lessening yourself and allowing God to be more present in a situation. And that opens up the doors for you to be able to ask questions. Okay, Lord, where do you want me to go? What do you want me to do? What are you trying to get me to see? What are you trying to get me to understand? What can I do to understand this particular concept? You begin to ask questions. You begin to be like a sponge and wanted to be more knowledgeable of who he is and his character more than anything. That's what childlike faith looks like. That's what being a child looks like. Always asking questions, wanting to know answers, wanting to just get a better understanding of whatever there is that you're questioning. 3, full of wonder and curiosity. We all know children, even with us growing up when we were younger, we were always wondering. We were always curious about things. Sometimes it found some of us in trouble. But because of our pure imagination, our just idea of wanting, just being curious. And it's the same way within the spiritual realm. We should be, have that same kind of wonder and curiosity when we're in relationship with God. Because like number 2, it allows us to ask questions. It allows us to humble ourselves so we can be aware and open and transparent and vulnerable to whatever there is the Lord is trying to give us. 4, trusting. Going back to the analogy of being a child. with our earthly fathers, I've never had to question wherever my father led me. I never had to question it. I knew where he was leading me was for my good. And it's the same thing with our Heavenly Father. We should trust that wherever the Lord is leading, guiding, and direct us, that it's for our good. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, but plans to give you hope in the future." You cannot believe that verse if you do not practice childlike faith, or if you do not act childlike within your life. You're going to always find yourself questioning, well, is this to prosper or to harm me? Is this to give me hope in a future? You're going to always find yourself questioning what the Lord does for you, because you are not lessening self and allowing more of Him into your life, which then doesn't allow you to really just exercise childlike faith and being childlike. And then 5, has hope. When you are practicing that childlike faith, you have hope in a future. Jeremiah 29:11. You have hope that good is coming. You have hope that you deserve to be blessed. You have hope in whatever the Lord is doing for you in your life. You have hope that you will reap the kingdom of heaven. Again, going back to the text, the Lord is telling us if we do not practice childlike faith, if we do not come to Him as a little child, no matter our age, you are going to lack so much, which is going to result in you not reaping the kingdom of heaven. Only God's children receive the kingdom of heaven. So the question is, are you His child? And I'm sure we all saying, yes, I'm God's child. But do your everyday actions show that you're a child of God? Does your belief show that you're a child of God? Does your trust show that you're a child of God? If you find yourself answering these questions kind of like, I don't know, maybe, then sit back and evaluate how you go about your life. Is it in a childlike way or is it in a childish way? And yes, the Lord gives us free will and He gives us a mind to think, but He does not want that to come before the concepts and ideas of what it's like to live as a Christian. It's important. It's so important to practice childlike faith, because without that, we could be missing so much. We could be missing so many solutions, so many blessings, because we feel that our ideology and our mindset and thought process is what's best. So you guys stay in a child's place. Let's stay in a child's place. Let's practice and be children of God for real. Through our lifestyle, through how we handle situations, through our faith, through our belief, let's allow that to show that we are truly and earnestly and genuinely children of God. It's imperative. We should not forget our place when it comes to our relationship with God. We will forever be His children, no matter how old we get. No matter how much this life offers us, we will always be His children. And we have to be reminded of that and respect it. And it will show in how we approach Him, and how we approach situations, and how we approach our life. And later, we'll reap the benefits of being childlike. And that's the kingdom of heaven. You cannot reap the kingdom of heaven if you do not present yourself in a childlike way. I'm going to leave you guys with a verse, and then we'll end it. Psalms 116 and 6. The psalmist wrote, and this is just the icing on the cake. Psalms 116 verse 6. The Lord protects those of childlike faith. I was facing death, and he saved me. The Lord protects those of childlike faith. He will protect you and keep you from so much, save you from so much. All because you're practicing childlike faith. Because you're deciding, even though I don't know where he's taking me or where we're going or how this situation is going to end, because he's my father and because I trust in him and I trust where he's taking me, and I know that wherever he leads, guides, and directs me is going to be for my good. Because I believe that, and I believe that in my heart, and I'm deciding to be a child before him and humble myself before him, because I'm deciding to lessen myself before him and allow more of him to be present within my life, the Lord is saying, you know what? I'm going to protect her. I'm going to keep her or him. I'm going to bless him or her. I'm going to bless my child, because my child is allowing me to operate as their father. That's all he wants to be, is a father to us. But he cannot be a father to us if we are not exercising our position in our place, which is being a child. If we're trying to be everything to ourselves, there's no room for him to come in to be what he was created to be for us. And that's a father. That's a protector. That's a provider. And he will do that, and he will be that. Let's stay in a child's place. Let's act as a child. Let's believe as a child. Let's trust as a child. Let's be humble as a child. Let's walk as a child. Let's live as a child. And watch the blessings and the beauty of life unfold right before your eyes. So you guys, I pray that this was a blessing to you guys. I pray that it was an eye-opener in how we should live our life every day. I know it was a blessing to me, and even just talking it out right now, it just opened my eyes to just a different realm of living. And I'm glad that the Lord laid this on me and used my personal experience within my life to get me to this point of being able to deliver this to you guys. So I pray that it's a blessing. And I pray that it was the stepping stone or the start of living a childlike life, practicing childlike faith within our everyday lives. So again, from him to me to you, this is the word. Let's stay in a child's place. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Love y'all. Bye.